Well, folks, rumors are swirling. Could Trump actually run in 2028? Legally, politically, practically? A lot of questions that get raised just with the idea of it. But let's break down the facts of the situation. You have to look at constitutional limits and why, honestly, it's probably not that great of an idea for Trump to run in 2028. Now, before we jump into this, I just want to say thank you to all of our new subscribers. We've picked up a decent amount of subscribers in the last 2 weeks. Welcome to the channel. We're going to do everything we can to get the best quality information out to you in a timely manner. But if you're new to the channel, drop down below, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you don't ever miss another video from us in the future. Now, Trump has been dropping hints about a possible 2028 run, even after serving even after he will have served 2 terms. And there are some supporters who are pretty excited about it, but we got to take a couple steps back. And one of those supporters would be Steve Bannon, who I'm not the biggest fan of. I'll just leave that there. Not the biggest fan of Steve Bannon, but let's take a listen to what he's got to say.
Donald John Trump is going to raise his hand on the King James Bible and take the oath of office. His third victory in his second term. And the Viceroy, Mike Davis, tells me, since it doesn't actually say consecutive, that, I don't know, maybe we do it again in 28. Are you guys down for that? Trump 28!
Now, obviously, Steve Bannon's going to make a lot of headlines, and, this is just kind of what he does. But let's look at this. The 22nd Amendment, the constitutional reality of this is that the 22nd Amendment exists, passed, I believe, 1951, after FDR had 4 terms, and it clearly states, no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. This isn't a gray area. This is a constitutional line in the sand, a constitutional brick wall. The wall that Trump needs to build on our southern border, that's what it is in the Constitution. And the only way around it would require a constitutional amendment, which would require 2/3 of both the House and Senate, or a constitutional convention. And good luck. Good luck. We're going to have trouble getting through a reconciliation program through the House, let alone getting 2/3 of people in the House to say, yep, we're going to pass this constitutional amendment, knowing damn well that Trump's going to run in 2028 from it. And maybe some Democrats would go along with it. Maybe they'd be like, well, we think we could beat him. But ultimately, I don't think they're going to take that risk. That's a risk they took in 2024, and it really screwed them over. It's like, good luck. That's all I got to say for someone who really wants to get through. Good luck actually getting it into law. Good luck convening a constitutional convention. They've tried to do that multiple times on different things. Hasn't happened recently, at least. But and the thing is there is it does matter why we have a 22nd Amendment. This limit was designed to prevent one person from holding too much power for too long. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter how much you like President Trump. This is just the reality of it, is that we don't want one person to hold too much power for too long. The founders were very weary of kings having just broke up from a country that was ruled by a king, and dictatorships. And that's exactly why this amendment exists here, is to prevent things like a king or a dictator taking over. Now, outside of the constitutional reality, just look at the situation practically. Trump was born in, I think, 1946. If he were to run in 2028, he would be 82 years old when he was running. He'd probably be almost 83 in his first year. Let that sink in. 82, 83 years old. Now, obviously, I'm going to make a comment, and I don't want it to be taken out of context. You look at Biden, that guy shouldn't have been elected, a dog catcher, let alone president of the United States. Now, obviously, Biden's mental capacity had been deteriorated very much at his age relative to where Trump is. But the thing is that you get older, campaigning's tough. It's like you see Trump, it's like the guy just works around the clock all the time. It's like, that's got to be a lot of work for someone who's 82 years old. And to put it in perspective, Ronald Reagan left office when he was 77 years old. And his age was already a point of criticism when he ran a second time in 1984 to seek re-election. Now, we're seeing impacts of the age play out, or we saw it with Biden, who was 82. It's a tough job mentally, physically, and the American people are watching. But the thing is Trump is in much better mental capacity than Biden, but also you're kind of back where we were. It's just, I just have a hard time supporting someone who's going to be that old, who could be potentially 86 years old at the end of his next term. We're seeing the impacts. And we've seen the impacts of age play out just even outside of Biden. Look at Mitch McConnell. Look at Nancy Pelosi. These dinosaurs that have been in the Senate. You look at people. Who's the Iowa senator? Grassley, Chuck Grassley. The guy's. It's like he's like 90 years old. You look at Dianne Feinstein. It's like she basically was in the Senate until she basically died. And it doesn't matter your politics. Your age is going to affect your cognitive ability, energy levels, the health risks that you have. And running a country at that age isn't just difficult, but it could be potentially dangerous under that much stress if you have some sort of condition that were to arise during your term. You better just hope. And we're like already like second kink down on the list right now. It's like we're constitutional, and now we're kind of at practicality of it. But then you look at like political implications of Trump doing that. Trump teasing it, and let's just take a look. Trump was teasing this at an event honoring Black history at the White House. Just let's take a listen.
I'm proud to say that we received, listen to this, more votes from Black Americans than any Republican president ever. Almost 40% of the vote. Now, I won't be happy the next time. Should I run again? You tell me. There's your controversy right there. There's your controversy.
Obviously, Trump's going to tease around with it. That's just what he does. That's just who he is. He can't get around that. But Trump teasing a 2028 run keeps him in the spotlight. It keeps him relevant, but it also it can stifle or have impacts on the growth the growth of new conservative leaders in the Republican Party. Especially, he came out a couple weeks ago and said that he's not going to endorse J.D. Vance right off the bat as like a successor, which I agree with Trump. I feel like there's a lot of people who don't agree. I agree with that. Let's wait till the midterms. Let's just focus on getting legislative victories. Ron DeSantis had a great thing about Byron Donalds running for potentially running to be the next governor. He had something great, and I'm just going to see, I know who had posted something about it here. Let's take a look right here. So this is about Byron Donalds. I think DeSantis has a great take on this, and this is going to kind of play in to Trump not endorsing J.D. Vance, but let's just take a listen to Governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis.
In the 2026 governor's race, do you also plan to endorse the congressman? And if not, who are you looking at and why?
My view is Donald Trump just got into office. I want these congressmen focused on enacting his agenda. They haven't done very much yet. They're not putting his executive orders into place. We'll see what they do on the spending. But we have such a narrow majority that to be trying to campaign other places and missing these votes, I think is not something that's advisable at all. And so the reality is we've achieved victories in Florida. We need to start achieving those victories up there. So I think people look at it and say, you got a guy like Byron, he just hasn't been a part of any of the victories.
I think DeSantis hits the nail on the head here. We don't need to be focusing on 2026 or 28 at this point. Let's just focus on getting some of Trump's executive orders that he's passed into law so the next administration can undo it. Let's focus on passing a reconciliation package that enshrines the Trump tax cuts, maybe even furthers the Trump tax cuts, cuts federal spending, increases defense spending, increases border security funding. I totally agree with his take on this. And I think that kind of, for me at least, kind of plays into Trump not endorsing J.D. Vance as the successor of the party yet. Let's just get stuff done for the next 2 years and see where we're at. Let's see how much we're able to do. Let's see how well JD Vance, and I think he's proved himself very well so far for 1 month and 4 days into the vice presidency. You look at his, I think the highlight has been him going to Europe to the Munich Security Council and giving that wonderful speech on freedom of speech and rights. I think that, like, I look at him, someone who speaks like that and speaks about those issues, that's someone who I want to lead the Republican Party going forward. I connect on that issue very, very closely with JD Vance. And so I think he's done a great job so far. I think he did a really good job, especially the ground game in the Senate, trying to get Trump's nominees over the finish line, having productive conversations with some holdouts. People like Susan Collins, people like Lisa Murkowski, people like Bill Cassidy, people like Mark Wayne Mullen. There's been a lot of people who he's been behind the scenes with Senate leader John Thune getting Trump's nominees over the finish line. So far, I give him good marks. We're just going to see how the next 2 years plays out. I don't think we should be endorsing a single person because you know what? Maybe he turns out to not be as great as we all think he is, and maybe we look to someone like DeSantis to lead the party forward. But also, JD Vance could be and most likely will be in that conversation. He will be in that conversation in 2 years. But when it comes to Byron Donalds, just take a step back. Let's focus on get some legislative victories when you have a 1, maybe 2 seat majority in the House right now. Let's get these victories done right now and worry about the 2026 later, because it doesn't matter how hard you campaign if you don't get stuff done in DC. It doesn't matter how hard you campaign. More campaigning cannot make up for legislative wins in DC. Simple as that. And the thing is Trump's not running in 2028. There's no way it's happening. And because if he did, you just think of it. If somehow, and let's play this game, in some crazy world they're able to get a constitutional amendment passed, allow Trump to run again, you're going to be looking at stifling the next generation of conservative leaders by another cycle. You kind of look to like 2020 with the Democrats when they decided to go with the old guard again, which I'm not saying Trump's the old guard, but at that point, he'll have been in politics for almost 15 years at that point. Maybe like 13, 14 years. And that is just stifling the next generation of Republican leadership. And I think there's a lot of people who that may become an issue of his age. And I'm one of those people who I don't think he's going to be the right person in 2028. Well, let's find somebody else. Maybe if he was like 65 right now, that's a conversation to have. But let's be blunt about it. Trump's a polarizing figure. He energizes his base and galvanizes the opposition. That's what he's got going for him. And it's great. But also, we need to find a way to win without Trump. Because Trump's not going to be around forever. He's not going to be alive forever. We need to figure out how the GOP can win in elections, in presidential elections, without Trump on the ballot. Because we know Trump pulls out people, low propensity voters, don't engage in elections a lot. They literally go out, they vote for Trump, they don't vote for anyone else, and that's it. Because he's able to energize those people. And, independents and moderate Republicans might get a little fatigued with politics that are so Trump-centric, but it does also impact down ballot races. Not every person that comes out, it affects these down ballot races, but there are a lot of people where he's able to kind of pull them over the finish line and run the numbers up because he's able to energize people who wouldn't come out if he wasn't on the ballot. And if you look at 2028, it's going to be another highly divisive election regardless. And if Trump's in it, it's going to be even more divisive. So you're going to be looking at, I hate to say it, but there'll probably be another assassination attempt. These sick people who want to kill Trump. There's going to be things that happen. And I think that if he has a successful term, ride off into the sunset. Don't try and do this. Don't spend the next 4 years trying to become president again. Focus on getting big legislative victories done. That's what matters. But you think Trump's strategic. Trump knows what he's doing. He's a master of a media manipulation, of media. I guess manipulation is probably the right word, but by floating this idea, he's keeping himself relevant in the GOP long term, not just the next 4 years, like kind of how Biden has been. Just because he said he's running or just because he teases at this doesn't mean he's actually serious. It could just be a strategic thing that he's doing. Because if Trump truly cares about his legacy and the future of the GOP and America First policies, he should focus on being the kingmaker long term, not the candidate. He could wield enormous, huge amounts of influence by supporting new conservative leaders without some of the baggage of the controversies that come with him. And it's like, because he would have another line item, which would be age. Obviously, he was beating Biden out on that, but you put Trump up against a young Democrat, that could be a little tough just on the age issue. And you saw how many Democrats were willing to abandon Biden just over the age issue. We don't want that to happen in the GOP. So, yes, Trump can keep teasing a 2028 run, but the facts are clear. The Constitution does not allow for this. His age would be a major challenge, and it's going to hinder Republican Party growth in the future. If he really wants to help the movement, pass the torch on in 2028. Don't make an endorsement now. Let the next couple years play out. Make your endorsement then, because at some point, all leaders have to step aside. Don't try and ruin your legacy by trying to run in 2028. Now, let me know, what are your thoughts? Do you think Trump should run in 2028, or is it time for a new leadership? So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Hit that subscribe button down below if you enjoy the video that we got out. As always, like, share, subscribe for more. Until next time, guys.